Let's get started here. First, I want to go over the trades I took today, what led to my failure. And then from there, um, I want to kind of give an overall analysis on today and everything like that. So, first of all, for most people, it was probably a red day. For me, it was a red day. Like Shalal said, we gave away some McChickens, minus one McChicken. Um, so, a few things. First, let me go over the trades, and then we'll kind of get right into it. So, came into my office, saw AERC was ripping $23. I stated I did not like the 6-month setup, and if we look at the 6-month setup on AERC, it's had multiple pullbacks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I even was debating trading that move yesterday, given how big that pullback was. However, that rally was so great, I was willing to trade it. And then the last time it pulled on back, it had a massive reversal from 23 all the way back down to 17. So I said, if this was a 5-minute chart, I wouldn't trade it. I don't hear talking live. Irvin, is he in the right? Can you guys hear me all right? Can any of you in premium hear me? Okay. Must just be on his end. Okay. So I took 500 shares with anticipation of the break. Now, one thing I want to stress so heavily, guys, is starter positions should not be a massive position. When I said I took 500 shares, just understand that I traded with a $100,000 account. 500 shares of a $23 stock was 10% of my account. Now I added another 500 when I broke 23 for a push up to 24. Then eventually I was in with about 20% of my overall account, but I was not, down immensely on it. I lost about $1,200 on that flush. Obviously, losing $1,200 on a starter position is a lot. But that's just a fact of the matter. I have to put it in retrospect. And trading, you have to put everything in retrospect. I made $15,000 on it yesterday. Giving back $1,200 is not the end of the world. And putting yourself in retrospect into other markets. Bitcoin's down 7.5% right now. Ethereum's down 11%. The Nasdaq's down 6.5%. Or sorry, 3.6%. If your account is down around there, you are in line with the overall market today. Or if your account's down less than that, you in fact outperform the market today. Red days are inevitable; they're going to happen. Just you want to make sure you're not like that guy in the losers chat, not trying to point anyone out, but he's down 82% today. My guess is he did some pretty risky options. That's just a part of the game. If you can't handle losing, then this industry is just indeed not for you. You have to treat it like any business. You're going to have months where you lose money. You're going to have to pay your employees. Another trader said, treat your red days like paying your employees. And that's true now that I have employees and now that I do have sizable red days. That's what it's like. And then from there, I went on to ADN. You could say I was maybe flip-flopping between stocks, but I saw that this one had a hot catalyst and a strong 1-minute pullback setup. I added off the dip of 325. It validated it. And then I was about to add again for the break of the high day. However, it just didn't break. So I didn't add again. I was going to add it. I had orders at 343 and 350 for push up to $4. And I ended up losing on that one, and I flushed down to 3 very quickly. Stocks flushed so quick today. And the thing I don't like about these cheap stocks is from 325 down to 3, it's about a 10% loss. Now, had I had my entire account in the stock, yes, I would have lost 10 grand or 10%. I was buying 2,500 shares at a time. I think I had 5,000 shares holding into that. That's 15% of my overall account. Like I said, starter position should never be your biggest position. Learn to average in and indeed average out of your positions. I had 3 orders in this one. One at 325, 343, and 350. Don't buy all of your shares all in at once, or else you're going to get waxed. It's just the fact of the matter. And then I went over to SIDU. Definitely had a lot of FOMO on it from yesterday. It was a great midday runner setup. I could have made a lot of money on it. I put $100,000 into the stock at $2.70 yesterday morning, and I woke up to it being at almost $9. That hurt a lot because to me, I knew the catalyst was strong. I knew the setup was great, but I personally just didn't have it in me to hold. And that's something I have to get better at. I understand this was a great midday runner setup. I definitely am not going to be missing the next one. I think I was just so on a euphoric state of being up so much yesterday. I didn't even care to check in. Every day at the end at market close, I check on all of the runners to see if there's a good setup. And I missed this one. So obviously, that is unfortunate. I did have some FOMO. I knew that. But one thing I do also want to state when it comes to losing is don't trade to make up your losses. Trade to the best of your abilities on every trade. Um, Treat every trade like you are net zero on the day. Even if you're up 100,000 on the day or you're down 5,000, treat every single trade like you are net zero on the day. And that's kind of what I try to do. I added once I got out of this halt at $8. I pressed the buy button when it was below 8, filled me at 8.11, I believe, and then I bought with anticipation of the break at 8.50. I was smashing it around 8.43. It filled me just over 8.50, or around that range, and then it pushed up to 8.90, like I talked about. Had that broke 9, that definitely would have opened up for a move up to 10. When it was close to there, I was holding full position size for anticipation of the break. I was up about $4,000 at that time. So that does suck. Gave back a lot of profit, being up at least $4,000 on it at one point to only locking in immediately like 450 on it. As it came down, I started to sell. For reversal, things were not breaking out as they were the last few days. You'll see this when the market has a super hot week. A lot of stocks just one day start to fake out. It does happen, which is unfortunate. But down about $2,500 today. Had a super strong week. Some of you guys who've lost a lot, especially everything you gained in the last week. Number one, that does suck. I do understand that does hurt. I have had that happen to me a lot. But two, one thing you might want to look at is the position size you guys were taking. Were you in a euphoric state of like, man, we can't lose? I was up 10 green days in a row. I know I was feeling invincible. However, I've made that same mistake so many times of upping my position size so much because I'm on such a hot streak, and then giving it all away. So the good thing about trading is you need to learn how to be good at conserving your profits, and that's kind of what I tried to do today. Obviously, I still lost 3K, which is a big red day for me in retrospect, but I had some big winners this week to definitely make up for it. So those of you who have questions, I guess breaking down your losers today, asking questions about losing. I want this entire group lesson. Again, I have a whole hour of talking about how to deal with losers, how to properly mitigate risk, and how to conserve profits when it comes to trading. So you can either raise your hand. Gennaro, you already got a question. I'm invite to speak. Oh, I think you are muted. Um, One second, buddy. Let me drag you into another chat and then drag you back up here. And okay, if you want to ask to be on stage now, you should be good. Where are you? There you are. Wait to speak. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I just had a quick question. When you were talking about moving into like your position
Mm-hmm.
and like not your first enter in, like don't put your whole account in or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're trading or like the PDT or whatever it is, so that you only have 3 trades a week, how would you kind of like recommend going into a trade if you can't really scalp your way into it?
Good question. That is probably the most unfortunate thing about being under PDT. One thing I would say to you is I'd rather you average out of your positions than average in. I think it is more important to learn how to properly sell for a profit than to average in. That's what I did. I understand that those of you guys who are under PDT, this is going to happen to you guys because you can't average in. I guess that was more aimed towards the gentlemen and the ladies that are above PDT. If you are indeed below PDT, you are going to have to buy all in at once and then average out. Because you could do one of two things. You can either average in and then sell all out at once, or buy all in at once and then average out. And I know I'm watching SIDU rip break 9, but it is what it is. So what I'd say to that is, unfortunately, I think you're probably going to have to stick to what you're doing and buying all in at once, and then learning to average out. And then once you get above PDT, understand that the way to make even more money is to indeed average into your positions. So I wish I could give you. What was that?
I was saying, when you say like I'm gonna take a starter here, would it necessarily wouldn't be as smart for me to get in at that same exact time because you're still kind of testing out to see what's gonna happen? Or
Ooh, good question.
Cause I think twice I went in like when you're like, all right, I'm gonna take a starter here, and I did, and it kind of like didn't go as planned. So I kind of felt like, as I've been like kind of listening and going along with it, I kind of feel sometimes it might be better to not, when you say I'm gonna add here, like position here, to not add on that start. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So generally, my starter positions are the riskier entry points. All my starters are in buying with anticipation of a breakout, willing to risk it to have a better entry. And what I would say to that is, I probably wouldn't go with your full position on when I say I'm taking a starter. That is usually anywhere from 10 to maximum 25% of my overall position size. For example, on SIDU, my starter at $8 was 2,500 shares. All my other orders were over 5,000 shares. So I would not recommend going in full position size when I say taking a starter, because there's a lot of risk in that. That's why I do go in with a smaller size in those starter positions.
Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. Good question. What else we got, guys? You can either wow, we got a lot of questions. Okay, I think I saw Rusty was the first one, then R Pearls, then Lennox, then Steven.
Sounds good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So what I had was, we were looking at SIDU yesterday. Seeing a good setup.
You're breaking up, buddy. Can't really make out what you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. I'm not sure if it's the internet or what.
Shoot. Man, I can't hear you now again. Would you mind typing it out? It might be a lengthy question. Would you mind typing it out? Because when you start talking, it just turns like instant robot mode.
Can you hear me there?
Try it one more time.
Is that any better there or not?
Yeah, that's better. We'll try it.
I just changed over to the computer speaker.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're good. Shoot. I didn't mean to laugh, but whenever you're perfect before you ask your question, and then whenever you ask your question, it's like full robot. Try one more time from the top.
Last try here, otherwise I'll just send it in text.
Okay.
I was just asking about ADN setup for today. Looks like a good setup. Do we want to, keep an eye on that and possibly look at getting in on a dip buy and holding to see if we have similar results as SIDU did yesterday?
Good question. I like that question. If it does hold $2.90 and $3 as a solid support, and then you start to see it creep up to 315, 325, I would definitely look to take a position. I wouldn't buy now because it needs time to indeed consolidate. So I would let it kind of do its thing today, maybe dip down to 275, bounce around 275 and $3. But if you start to see around 3 p.m. power hour or even after hours, it breaks 3 and it starts to gap up, especially breaking 343 and 350, I would definitely take a swing trade on this one for it to open up much higher tomorrow. Yeah, not a problem. And also, guys, if you, you know what, I'm going to add the course video. I have it in the gold course, but I'm going to add it in the premium lessons on momentum, the continued momentum play, swing trading. I'm going to add it in there, and if a lot of you guys wouldn't mind keeping an eye out on those plays and then sending them into the chat, it's only going to help everyone. Sometimes I can't get to them, and had I saw SIDU yesterday, I probably would have took a position in it. So I'll add that today. Good question. Alrighty, we got Mr. Pearls. I think your mic's muted, buddy. Alrighty, well, we'll give him a few seconds. Let me bring Lenny up here too while he's figuring out his mic.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I'm just on the line of like today I'm sitting just under like $100 under 25K, and I was just wondering if you had any advice for being right on that line where you kind of run that pattern day trader risk, and yeah, going back and forth between being able to do day trades and then
so one thing I'd say to that, and I actually, it's a really good question, and I'm glad you brought that up. Everyone asks me how much you need to start day trading full time, and I don't say 25K, I say 30K, because you, as a trader, you need to have a buffer being over that 25K mark to be able to risk and not be on your, like walking on hot rocks or whatever. So what I would say to that is, if you want to take a little trade, get it over 25K or even put $100 into it, and then from there, I would greatly reduce your position size until you start to build a buffer. I wouldn't go in with the position sizes you're probably taking. I would be looking to make $50 to $100 max on a trade, which is gonna be hard for a little while, but you need to build that buffer. Haltman isn't in here, I don't think, but he was in the same scenario literally 2 weeks ago. He had 25K exactly into his account. He started to build that buffer, and then as he built it, he got more and more confident and slowly increased his position size, and now his account's sitting just under 30K. So what I'd say to that is don't be afraid to take smaller positions to help build that buffer. It is definitely needed, because I was in that same scenario, being up and down and all around 25K. Couldn't seem to get any ground because I was too worried to be below it. I couldn't risk I literally couldn't risk anything. So what I'd say to that is, if you want to add $100 in your account or just try to make a green trade, and then from there, just reduce your position size until you can build that buffer again, and then look to increase your position size afterwards.
Appreciate it.
Good question though. I like it. All right, we got Mr. Pearls. I don't know if your mic's. I don't know if your mic's still muted or not. I'm gonna invite Mr. Steven up here. Oh, he's in the same scenario. Let me, Steven, I'm going to drag you into another chat, permanently unmute you, and then bring you back in here. 1 second, buddy. Okay. Wow. Now there's. Here, I invited you to speak. See if we can do that now. There we go.
You guys can hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, so kind of how we talked about briefly, like when I hotkey in, when we enter a position, um, I usually have my SL set at like 5%, but what I've noticed, um, and honestly, where the majority of my losses come from is we'll enter a position and then it'll go down and I'll stop out, and then the stock will continue to make its move. So I just wanted to kind of get some insight as to maybe a better time to add a SL. I know you said something about once a stock um, retests, but I just kind of wanted to understand that a little bit more.
Yeah. Good question. So, unlike today, most days you don't see these stock. I don't know why in particular today. It could just be the overall market bleeding, or just cooling off from the massive week we had this week. Stocks don't usually flush down this quickly. So usually you have ample amount of time to be able to put in a stop loss, be able to let stocks retest. I let that happen on ADN. I didn't have a stop loss right in place on ADN when it tapped 3 because I have been trading long enough to realize a lot of times that does happen. More often than not, it'll come down, tap your stop loss, and then rip higher. So what I did with that is I stopped putting in stop losses, and what I did was I let stocks retest and bounce. Okay. And then from there, if it does break down below on the retest, that's where I would then put a stop loss or something like that. Because if a stock breaks a support line twice, more often than not, it is indeed the end of its move. So one thing is I let stocks retest a little bit more. Other than that, I would then, if you do really need a stop loss, I would put a stop loss in just below a support line. I find a lot of people are like, oh, let me put it right at 3. Or something like that. Like on ADN, I put it in at 3 or at 2.97. So I gave the stock 3 cents a share to be able to bounce off of 3. That's one thing that's helped me.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
Does that answer your question? I feel like it didn't answer your question. Did that help?
No, I don't, I'm just, getting into this space. Could you, I guess elaborate a little bit more as far as the retest and all that? I'm kind of foggy as to, so let's say, boom, we enter in a position, it starts to gradually go up. You mean retest that new high that it's about to hit? Is that what you mean?
No. So if you're looking at ADN, I let it retest a support line that I'm actually in the red on. So not retesting a resistance line, retesting a support line. So for example, I bought ADN at 325, okay? And I knew $3 was a solid support line for the stock. So what I did was it was up to 343. I was in the green, and then it flushed past what I was down on. And then it continued to drop, and then it tapped $3 a share. Letting it bounce off of that support line is what I mean as far as a retest go. Does that make any sense?
Oh, got you.
So
Yeah,
I'm actually in the red on these retests, and then once it retests that support line again, the first initial time it taps it, I let it bounce. Unless it plunges right below it, then I have to sell it for loss. But if it bounces off of $3 and then goes back up, I don't mind holding. However, if it breaks below $3 for a second time, I do end up stopping out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Oh, he's got his mic unmuted. Mr. Pearls. Oh no. All right, yeah, Steven, if that does answer your question, good. But if you still are foggy about it, just message me, and I'm trying to make it as easy as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I was struggling with the SL for a little bit. Like, you don't have many like red days, and what I've noticed is, yeah, a lot of my L's have come from stopping out. So like, I even like opened up my SL a little bit, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would take it off and enter a position, and then like let it go up. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
we're up like 10 cents a share, and then I'd put like my SL at break even, and that was helping me. But then sometimes I feel just like not mentally sound to like not go in with the SL.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
So,
so what I did with that, and this will come with time, guys. I was the gentleman who a few years ago, the second I got in a trade, I had to put in a stop loss, or else I physically didn't have it in me, or mentally didn't have it in me to stop out of that position. I literally would just hold and hold and hold, and so I'm like, okay, I have to put in a stop loss because I suck at cutting my losses. If that's you, then you need to do that. But I've gotten to a point now where I am fine with cutting my losses, because they don't happen as much as my winner. So I don't actually put in a physical stop loss, um, probably 60-70% of the time. When I say my stop loss is here, it's usually a mental stop loss, meaning if it breaks below that, I'll sell market, which means I'm going to end up losing more money, generally, than I would if I had a stop loss in place. However, I have more wiggle room, because the problem with the stocks that we trade is we have to give them wiggle room, because they can wick down, fill your stop loss, and then rip right up in one candle. And you're like, what the heck, dude? Like, that's why I decided to not put in stop losses in place. The only time I put in a stop loss is when a stock has a higher probability of stopping me out than going for profit. Because the problem is, if you have a stop loss in place and then you want to partially sell out, well, you got to cancel that stop loss, sell half, then go back and put in the stop loss. It's a nightmare. So one thing I do is I generally I don't actually have the only stop loss I placed today was on ADN. That was the only stop loss I had today. All the other ones I sell out using market, which means I'm going to lose more money on those trades, generally speaking, because of slippage in my market order. However, I do make more money in turn by not having my stop loss get filled off of a wick. That makes more sense.
yeah, for sure. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and if, like I said, Steven, I still feel like I didn't answer your question to the best of my ability. If you still have any more questions and it's still foggy, DM me and we can chat about it.
Will do. I appreciate you.
Yep. Okay, we got Isaiah in here. Bring up Isaiah. Isaiah, trying to invite you up to speak. It's a race. I got Sir Tomcat. Yeah, there he is. He's gonna beat you. Just quick with it.
I'm on the trigger, bro. All right, that's good though. So to quickly elaborate on what you just said, how do you determine when a stock is more likely to stop you out than to make you profits?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Now, the longer you hold a stock, the riskier it gets. You hear me say that, and the reason I say that is because the direction becomes more unclear. And when I say I think that stock is more likely to fill my stop loss, what I'm saying is the direction is slowly becoming so unclear as far as like it's consolidating. When direction becomes unclear, I start to think in my head, okay, the odds of me stopping out are getting greater and greater and greater. Not to mention, if a stock fails to break out multiple times and fails to fill any of my take profits, from there, I'm going to assume there's a better chance of me stopping out. But generally speaking, how I know that there's a greater probability of me stopping out is when a stock consolidates and doesn't initially do the move I want it to do in the time frame I give it. And that comes in form of consolidation. So if I buy ADN and it's bouncing around 325, and I'm holding it for 30 minutes, and it's not going up anywhere, and just staying at 325, that's when I'm like, okay, if it was going to rip, odds are it probably would have already. Now the odds of it filling my stop loss are becoming greater and greater and greater the longer I hold it. So that's when I put in a stop loss, is when it starts to consolidate, in case it like all hell breaks loose, and it fills my stop loss. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate that very much.
Not a problem, buddy. Good question. You guys are asking really good questions, and I feel like I'm answering them best of my abilities. But if I'm not answering them, guys, tell me, dude. I don't feel like I understood, because I'll try to answer a different approach. Alrighty, Mr. Pearls. There he is. Hello. Oh boy. I don't know if it's your mic or anything, buddy, but we can't hear you. Shoot. Well, I'm gonna bring Nova up here as well.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, buddy.
Sweet. So I missed out on a little bit of the action this morning, so sorry if you already covered this. But just to kind of elaborate on what the other guys were saying, what kind of resistance line are you talking about? Like, are we talking about like the lowest low for the day and the highest high for the day?
So resistance lines could be psychological breakouts, or they could be the highest high for the day. Now, a psychological breakout, if you go down to premium resources and then go to the first PDF, I would definitely download that and then book a one-on-one lesson so you can kind of understand it. Now, when SIDU was stuck in a halt going up, the resistance lines I wanted to see a breakout were $8. It was a psychological breakout, a whole dollar. The high of day was $8.43, and so I put in an order for the breaking the high of day, which is also a resistance line. And then I put one in at $8.50, because $8.50 is also a psychological resistance line. I know it probably sounds like a lot to take in, but I download that PDF and then let us kind of work with you a little bit. Actually, I think I have a video. Let me send it to you. Hang in there with me, buddy. I'm all over the place today. There we are, psychological breakouts. Okay, I'm gonna send you this video. If you want to watch this today or a little bit later, that's going to kind of explain some of the resistance lines I'm talking about. However, yes, a resistance line can be the highest high of day, and we find that's pretty frequent.
Okay, sweet. Thank you for that.
Yep. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for another question to come in, if you guys are kind of like down your dumps today, you had a red day, especially if you feel like you've given back most of your profit, which that's one thing. That's a whole other ballpark. But what I'd say to just red days, period, and the greatest thing that lets me kind of deal with my red days is I do something to not really celebrate, but to almost reward myself or to cheer me up. Because if I'm only celebrating, like yesterday, I made 16,000 yesterday on AERC, and I got it all on video. I'm gonna send it to you guys. It was really cool trade, some dip buys. It felt like a genie, but I didn't do anything out of the norm to celebrate. I didn't go blow all my money at a bar and buy the whole bar of drinks or something like that. And I'm not going to do that definitely when I'm on a red day, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to still enjoy my day and do things that I enjoy doing to take my mind off of it. Red days happen in any avenue in life. Losses happen, setbacks happen. It is very normal. Especially when you're just starting. And so what I'm going to do today is just do things I enjoy doing. I'm still going to continue to work and continue to go on with my day, but I'm going to make sure I fit something in there to cheer me up and to almost celebrate. Because what you're doing with your brain is you're telling your brain, hey, it's okay, brain, that I can have a red day. Because if all you're doing is talking bad on yourself on red days and, oh, I got to go work 100 hours this week now that I had a single red day, every single time you have one, it automatically has a massive negative connotation. You guys see, when I have a red trade, I instantly, or I no longer, I don't dwell on it. I took a loss in AERC, okay, go right back to ADN. A lot of you guys might be like, how can you do that so quickly? And it's because I'm so used to taking losses. I'm so good at taking losses because I've conditioned my brain to do something I like doing off of red day. Not that I shoot for red days, but don't beat yourself up. Don't work 24 hours today to try to make up for it because they're going to happen. And same thing with a green day. Treat them the same. And that's how red days don't have an impact on my day anymore. It used to be how my wife used to know. My wife knows nothing about stocks. She was my girlfriend at the time. Knows nothing about stocks or anything like that. But she would know if I had a green or red day simply about how the first 10 minutes of being home. That is a terrible thing. So, I don't want that for any of you guys, and I want to make sure you guys are still being joyful on red days, because honestly, it's not worth it if every time you're going to have a red day, it's going to ruin your day. This career isn't worth it. So you have to figure out how to change it. Any other questions, guys? I got about 20 more minutes left. I was planning on going for about an hour. I've been going for about 40 minutes so far. Checking up on our crypto short positions. If you guys are shorting crypto with me, I'm still holding my entire position. I've not taken any profits since shorting Bitcoin at 30K. Haven't taken any profits since shorting Tron at 8 cents, now down to 5 cents. And I took a little bit of profit on my ADA, but I don't plan on I still have a decent amount left. And that one is a triple leveraged short. So I am pretty deep into that ADA short. Just kind of quick update. I have not taken any profits yet. A little bit off of ADA, like I talked about, just because I was so leveraged. But that is it. I think there's a lot more downside to be had. I think Bitcoin will be in the teens before I start taking profits. I can't find ADA on Moomoo. Oh well. Now's the time for you guys' questions. If you don't want to come up and talk about it, you can. Oh wow! I'm just seeing the winner now, Spankenstein. You just made most of your money back on REV. Is it running right now? Oh, I'll have to going down. Get to back up. Yes. No. So I would add for the break of the high a day on ADN at 343, and then add at 350. And I probably wouldn't take any profits until being over $4 a share. Yeah, I gotta get that video to you guys ASAP. Because we need to start looking as a team on continued momentum plays. That was beating myself up immensely on SIDU. But you can always be a better trader. I did have some more talking points about losses, and I'm just going to continue to kind of go over them. Today it's all about losses. One thing I said in the live stream today, I don't know if you guys caught it, is never increase your position size simply to make back lost money. It was such a problem for me when I first started. If I was down red, I would say, okay, I'm just going to keep trading until I get back in the green, and then when I get back in the green, I'm done for the day. Well, that is not the reality of trading, and that's just not the right way how to go about things. Take it from me, I lost over $35,000 in one day doing that exact same thing. And the reason being, even when I was down 30K, I still was trading to try to make back money and even more leverage. That was back when my account was at like 50K, so I blew my entire account in one day simply by over trading. And if you could not do that, that'd be great. How much weight do I put on candlestick patterns? I mean, on the 5-minute chart, I do a lot. The 1-minute chart, not as much. But the 5-minute chart, definitely. Like inverted hammer candle. Like even especially on the 6-month chart too. On AERC, the reason why I was skeptical in trading it and I lowered my position size was due to the inverted hammer candle on the 6-month time frame. Also, I don't know if there's a good example on SIDU. I mean, that inverted hammer candle on SIDU isn't really a good example because it actually curled back up after that. But due to that inverted hammer candle on the 5-minute time frame on SIDU, I would not have bought in for that breakout. If we were still trading today, I would not have bought for that $9 breakout because the 890, that was an inverted hammer candle showing weakness around $9. So yes, it broke 9 and hit 922, but it instantly got rejected just a few minutes after and was back down to $8. So I definitely put a lot of weight on candle formations. It's really just the hammer candles. I don't find any use of like dojis or anything like that. I've never really found any use for them. Maybe in the future, but not now. I'm having issues getting into the premium features on Discord on my laptop, even though I have the license key and Discord's verification email. Any advice so I don't have to do anything over my phone? Like, you don't have access to all the premium channels? Is that what you mean? Okay, interesting. So what premium channels don't you have access to? Because if you are seeing these channels, it could be a bug, like all these audio channels, and you don't have access to those. That's a bug. But if you should, because you're typing into this one, you should have access to these. If it's got a hashtag with a little lock symbol and you can click on it, it means you have access to them. You also should have access to the 101 lessons and the other premium lessons one. If you don't have access to those, you don't have access to type in any of those, but you do have access to read in those. This is the only chat that you can type in. If you do have questions though, we could just want to put in here in the chat what day and time you can do a 101 lesson, and we can hook you up right there. Oh boy. KOLD. Oh, I would have traded that one. Is there any other questions, guys? I feel like I hit all the talking points I wanted to discuss. Oh, FOO. Sorry to see you go, buddy. Anything else, y'all? I think that's about it. If I have more videos on proper loss taking, things like that, I will surely share them. But go out, treat the day like a normal day, have fun, do something to cheer yourself up. Just know that this is a part of trading, and the real way to being profitable in trading is conserving your profits. So I'm done for the day. I took 3 trades. One of them was very close to being a red trade. I gave back about $3,000 in profit on it. So not going to beat myself up. Not going to punch my monitors and throw them out the window. It's part of the day. We live to trade another day. And we had an excellent week thus far. We still have one more day to end the week, and let's see how we can end it. I did snap my 10-day green streak. I was pushing for 50K, but in no way am I going to slow down by any means. Obviously, if I have like 3 big red days in a row, then I'm going to be like, okay, the market's cooled off a little bit. But this happened to a lot of you guys in January, those of you who are have been here a while. We had an excellent 3 months, actually. October, November, December. It literally felt like we couldn't stop making money. Just every single play was we made money on it. And a lot of it because it was a hot market. We would make 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% a day. And then January comes around and a lot of this happened, a lot of fake outs, and we got waxed. We lost money. So just understand that this is a part of the market cooling off this week. I think a lot of it is in turn of how the SPY is performing. Not trying to blame it on anything, but with these market conditions, SPY is down 3.5%. The Nasdaq is down 4.5%. Bitcoin's down 8%. I think that does lead to some of the stocks not having strong breakouts, just because the market's so weak right now. But I'm still going to continue to trade like we've been trading. It's a drop in the bucket in retrospect. Alrighty, y'all.